Some of the big stories this morning, of course, we had the 66th annual Grammy Awards last night, and Taylor Swift was the big winner. She won Album of the Year for Midnights. She also took home Best Pop Vocal Album, and she used her moment at the Grammys then to release the date of her upcoming album. She got a new album coming out April 19th. She announced that last night. Also, Miley Cyrus scored her first pair of Grammys. She won Best Pop Solo Performance and Record of the Year for Flowers. That went to Miley Cyrus. And then Billie Eilish won Song of the Year for What Was I Made For? That's from the Barbie soundtrack. Among the big winners last night at the Grammys. One of the other big stories, and it's worth, I learned this late Friday and was saddened to learn of the death of Carl Weathers. You'll remember Carl Weathers. He was one of the stars of the Rocky movies, also Predator, The Mandalorian. He died on Thursday, actually, at the age of 76. He died in his sleep at the age of 76. And I don't know if you caught some of the tributes. Sylvester Stallone paid tribute because, of course, Carl Weathers played Apollo Creed in 4 of the Rocky movies. And so Stallone said, as you can imagine, incredibly saddened by the news, he said, "I'm so torn up, I can't even tell you. I'm just trying to hold it in because Carl Weathers was such an integral part of my life, my success, everything about it. I give him incredible credit and kudos because when he walked into that room, I saw him for the first time. I saw greatness, but I didn't realize how great," he said. And as he was talking about his performance as Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies, he said of Weathers, he said, "I never could have accomplished what we did with Rocky without him. He was absolutely brilliant. His voice, his size, his power, his athletic ability, but more importantly, his heart, his soul. It's a horrible loss," he said. Carl Weathers was magic, and I was so fortunate to be part of his life. He said, "Apollo, keep punching." Arnold Schwarzenegger also had pretty good things to say about Carl Weathers. They co-starred in Predator, and he said, "Carl Weathers will always be a legend, an extraordinary athlete, a fantastic actor, and a great person." Schwarzenegger wrote, he said, "We couldn't have made Predator without him, and we certainly wouldn't have had such a wonderful time making it. Every minute with him on set and off was pure joy," he said of Carl Weathers. And he said, "Weathers was the type of friend who pushes you to be your best just to keep up with him." He said, "I'll miss him, and my thoughts are with his family." So a lot of people pouring out tributes to Carl Weathers. He really was terrific. I loved him both as Apollo Creed. And the thing is, even though you didn't necessarily, Apollo Creed is a really outspoken kind of, character. And, challenging Rocky. And Rocky, of course, the big hero of that film. But Carl Weathers, I thought, he was mesmerizing. I thought he was a mesmerizing presence, whether it was in Rocky or whether it was in the Predator, film. Mesmerizing presence. And when I saw him in The Mandalorian, happened to see those episodes with him in it again. Carl Weathers is like, "Man, that's Carl Weathers." What? And boom. So you may not have liked some of the characters that Carl Weathers played, but because he was strong, he was stern, but through that, I thought he was incredibly likable. He was incredibly likable. And I think that was Carl Weathers shining through all that. Because I loved his characters. He was a phenomenal actor. I was so sorry to hear about this. Again, he died in his sleep on Thursday, 76 years old, and made an incredible impression on so many, movies and the people who work with him. And I think those of us who watched him. Other big stories this morning, we talked about this a little bit earlier this morning. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying that much ballyhooed Senate border bill, which a final vote on that is expected Wednesday. A final vote on the Senate border bill. But House Speaker Mike Johnson said that thing is DOA over in the House of Representatives. He was on X and yesterday said, after taking a look at the bill, he said, I've seen enough. This bill is even worse than we expected. Won't come close to ending the border catastrophe the president has created. And he said, as the lead Democrat negotiator proclaimed, under this legislation, the border never closes. And he said, if this bill reaches the House, it will be dead on arrival. His words. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise was also pretty tough on the bill, and he said I think just before Johnson's statement yesterday, Steve Scalise was on X and said, let me be clear, the Senate border bill will not receive a vote in the House. And he said, here's what the people pushing this deal aren't telling you. It accepts 5,000 illegal immigrants a day and gives automatic work permits to asylum recipients, a magnet for more illegal immigration. Yeah, it will accept 5,000 illegal immigrants a day, and if it's got to reach that number before then other things would trigger and we start being able to take steps. So 5,000 a day would be accepted. 5,000 a day would just be accepted. And it would not be until it reaches that number that you even do anything about it. And again, I heard that, and my reaction to that is, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be joking. That is no solution at all. That is, just basically enshrining this disastrous Biden policy as you just wind up enshrining it and establishing it then for the foreseeable future. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now, as we talk about the border, Texas Governor Greg Abbott vowed yesterday that he will expand the razor wire that he has used and will add to it. And Governor Abbott was joined by 13 other Republican governors, Governor Kristi Noem among them. She was down there yesterday. And he said, he wrote on X, he said, America's governors have banded together to make one thing clear. Texas has the right to protect and defend our border. We will not tolerate this invasion the Biden administration's open border policies enabled. President Biden, it's your turn now to enforce the law and secure the border. So he was joined by, again, 13 other governors that were there. Kristi Noem among them, Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas among them. Also, Kim Reynolds of Iowa was there. Number of others. And they're all supporting Greg Abbott. So he said that yesterday, he says, as opposed to detaining illegal immigrants, Biden has let them all loose with no ability to accurately determine their whereabouts. We've seen the catastrophic consequences of Joe Biden's open border policy. He said that gang members, as well as hundreds of people on the terrorist watch list, have been apprehended at the border. And he thanked Border Patrol agents at checkpoints who have seized millions of lethal doses of fentanyl and thousands of pounds of meth, he said. So you had, again, these 13 other Republican governors there and supporting him behind it. It's just absolutely incredible. Governor Abbott said that now, there's been a lot of focus on Shelby Park. That's a key stretch of the border where Texas has gone in, putting in razor wire at Shelby Park, so on. And he said now they'll go beyond that. And Abbott said a state can defend itself and its citizens to protect their safety from the imminent danger that we are facing and from an invasion from millions of people from coming across the globe into our country who are unaccounted for whatsoever, he said. And he said, as of right now, the Texas National Guard is undertaking operations to expand this. So now they're going to start expanding the razor wire, and he said, we're not going to contain ourselves just to this park, he said. So they'll be moving beyond that. And then I mentioned news last week, about that convoy of truckers that was going down to the border. So they arrived on Saturday. And we're urging participants there to remain, peaceful, stay away from Eagle Pass, which they did. Representative Joaquin Castro, he's a Democrat from San Antonio. He said that a U.S. Customs and Border Protection facility was evacuated after receiving threats. And Castro said, now the governor, he said, when he calls this an invasion, he's putting a target on people's backs, he said. I don't know that, a lot of us are frustrated about what we see going on. Are you frustrated with those who work at the Customs and Border Patrol? Or do you understand that their hands are tied by the President of the United States? Because that's the way I look at it. I'm not angry at all with the people who work for Customs and Border Protection. I'm not mad at them at all. My anger is not with them. It's with this administration and with the Democrats who prop it up, despite what we see. So Castro, again, saying when he calls this an invasion, he's putting a target on people's backs. Now, listen, if he's putting a political target on people's backs, I'm fine with that. Politically speaking, because he should be. But when have you heard Governor Greg Abbott of Texas have anything bad to say about U.S. Customs and Border Patrol? He's singing their praises. Even in the midst of this, he's singing their praises. What reality does Joaquin Castro get his news from? Inside the Beltway, again, it's just another reality inside of the Beltway. And doesn't make sense to any of us, to many of us. Unfortunately, to some it does, but most of us, we have trouble with it. So I mentioned the 13 governors that were with Governor Greg Abbott yesterday. Governor Kristi Noem among them. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee was also there. And he said this country is in desperate need of leadership on this issue. And he said Governor Abbott has had unwavering and shown unwavering leadership. And we stand in support of that leadership. So the critics of the governor are saying his policies have had little measurable effect. Really? Then why the outrage? Then what's the uproar all about? Why such outrage if it's not working? I mean, that just, it's not even working. Then why are you complaining? Why are you not doing handsprings? I mean, if that's what you want and it's not working, it is working. It is working, and now he's going to expand it. So, again, I just shake my head at so many of the things that people are saying. Bill Melugin is a reporter with Fox News. And he has been extensively covering the border. Melugin has been. And he reported that illegal crossings recently have shifted to Arizona and California and fallen off a cliff in the border sector that includes Eagle Pass. So that's coming from Fox News and Bill Melugin. So illegal crossings moving to Arizona and California. Why? Because Texas has said no. Texas is enforcing the law. It's just, honestly, this is so easy to understand that when people don't and they respond with all of the absolute gibberish that comes out of their mouths, it's always shocking to me, honestly. I know there are people who are driven by politics and whatnot, and I understand, okay, you're Democrats, you're supporting your party. Fair enough. But when you get it, when you're not even in reality, and I would say the same with the Republicans who are outside of reality, and the Never Trump crowd comes to mind. You're absolutely outside reality. I think like Nikki Haley was when she appeared on Saturday Night Live this past weekend. When was the last time you watched Saturday Night Live? You think that's a platform for Nikki Haley to win more support? Or is that kind of like, oh, yeah, I'm done. It's over. It's over. When you start doing the cold open for Saturday Night Live, that's what it's called. You're pretty much, yeah, it's over. It's all over now. Not soon enough, I think, is the reaction for many.